Hey, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon,
It's almost a good evening.
whatever time zone you might be in. Yes, welcome again to Race and Cultures Bridging the Divide. We are part of Race and Ethics Corporation, and I'm Reverend Dr. Barry Staples.
And I am the co-host, Jennifer Staples.
Yes, and she's a Reverend too.
Yes.
She's, we have both been called. And I'd just like to go into this um, episode by just kind of stressing something here. I mentioned last time when we started this podcast, we kind of wanted to do something different and just something to help focus on what's happening in the world, but also working it from knowing that we serve a greater power than ourselves. Both of us are pastors, and I was just talking to Reverend Staples here that religion, race, and politics are intertwined. And you can't do anything, especially in this country, Jennifer, without talking about race. What do you
Right.
think of that?
It's true.
Everything is a race something. I mean, and now today, I tell you, I changed the format because I was triggered to something that happened today or yesterday that just isn't right. And I'm gonna share today's episode is very basic. So we're gonna be talking today about Trump's racism, assault on Black history, and Black history in my story. So what I'm getting at here is that this is February,
This is
Black
History Month.
Black History Month, the shortest month in the year. Go
Yeah.
figure.
Mhm.
Black folks can never catch a break, and I don't use the term African American. Pretty much, I don't use it, but I recognize it and know the context historically. Even though some people don't understand the historic reason for that, but I stay focused on what I know and what I understand and what feels comfortable and what seems sensible. But that's another topic to be talking about. Black History Month, Jennifer, you can probably tell that people want to put us in racial groups, right? You and me.
Oh, yeah, you're tall, dark, and handsome, and I am
Beautiful.
pale,
In my eyes.
blue-eyed, and blonde hair.
Okay. So I want to ask you a question. I grew up in an urban area. And you grew up in a non-urban area.
True. Rural.
Did you experience anything regarding race where you were growing up at?
Personally,
I mean,
towards
just
me,
toward you, toward the community you grew up in. Were there
yeah.
issues?
Yeah, there were issues.
Okay, can you elaborate a little bit? What kind of things were said? What did people do? I just want to break it down.
Oh, well, I mean, I grew up in a mostly white neighborhood, or not neighborhood, area of the city.
Mostly white? What do you mean? Like on your block?
No, because I grew up in the country. So
Or say on your country road?
well,
How many
no,
black people
no.
were there?
Let me back up. The city I grew up in was
Yeah.
mostly white.
Mostly, like what
Mostly
percentage?
Uh,
99.9?
no,
90?
at
100?
least 90%.
Whoa, man.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
But then there were maybe a few blacks, and there were quite a few actually Hispanics.
Why? Were they being deported or were they working? Were they afraid?
They were working.
Okay, but I was thinking about that. I know a little bit about your community. They were migrant workers, right?
Right.
Came in and did things that, put it this way, none of your peoples wanted to do. They did it, right?
Well, there's a factory called Heinz, which is a tomato ketchup factory.
And they picked the tomatoes.
And yeah, migrant
Oh, my
workers
Lord.
picked up the tomatoes. Yeah.
That's interesting
Yeah.
because living here in Florida, we see Hispanic crews, like the people that do our yard,
Yeah.
the people that put on the roof.
Yeah.
They do all this work, but look at what's happening to them now. and they voted for this racist. The convicted felon in chief, don't get it twisted. I will never show the kind of effectiveness toward the person who holds that office with giving them that kind of honor, with knowing the things that we know in America, and people are in denial. That's not just a river in Egypt. It's real. In fact, those people that are picking those tomatoes and picking those melons where you grew up at, they what's the term now? I won't say it, but FAFO kind of thing. Y'all figure that out. So we're gonna be real. I got triggered today because the racist issues go on and on. But I want us first, before I get into some of the meat and potatoes of what's on our mind, I believe in education. I just give you an example of what I'm talking about. I have several different degrees. One of the specialty areas that I taught for years was race and ethnic relations, multiculturalism, cultural competency, multiculturalism, et cetera, all those related areas. So I'm not speaking just shooting off my hip. I'm shooting off of things that I research all the time still and collaborate with people. So with that said, Jennifer, I grew up in an area where there was predominantly Black folks in a way, but there weren't. That sounds contradictory. I can remember going to school and there were white kids and Black kids, and we were doing things together. Then as time went on, this is during the 50s and the 60s, we were dealing with segregation, especially you heard about it in the South. There was some of that going on up in the North, but well, actually more than what I realized. And I remember distinctly when I started noticing more of the white kids disappearing and going to another area. There was literally on the other side of the tracks. And I started noticing that more and more and more. So I was pretty much in a Black community. And there was never a thing where I didn't feel that I could not talk to white people, but there was something missing. And today, 2026, some of those same things that are missing or some of those same issues still happen to us all today. So one of the areas that I always believe in, we had there was a prophet named Jeremiah, Jennifer, and we talked about him. And I'm thinking about what's happening today. And if you want to read that, and we look at Jeremiah, this kind of fits into some of the things that are happening today.
Right. So Jeremiah 7, verses 5-7. This is from the New Living Translation. But I will be merciful only if you stop your evil thoughts and deeds and start treating each other with justice. Only if you stop exploiting foreigners, orphans, and widows. Only if you stop your murdering, and only if you stop harming yourselves by worshiping idols. Then I will let you stay in this land that I gave to your ancestors to keep forever.
And we talk about those ancestors of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right.
So one of the things that God is saying here is that we have an administration, I'll just start with the convicted felon in chief and all of his cronies, that need to understand that they have evil thoughts, they're doing evil things, beating people up. I won't go through the videos today or anything like that, but you can see if you watch your news. I don't look at network news, but I follow along with things. I get information, beating people up, dragging them out of the cars. One young lady, I'll show a video of her, and I can't think of her name now, but she is an autistic person with traumatic brain injury. They ripped out of her car. How evil is that? And cut her seatbelt. She thought she was fearing for her life, thinking they were going to cut her with a knife, these ICE agents.
Right.
But God is telling, only if you stop exploiting foreigners. Well, that's what they they want to call people illegal aliens. Think like,
Right.
how's that being called an alien?
Well, it's very dehumanizing for
That's
sure.
what we're going to be talking about,
Yeah.
dehumanization today, exploiting them. Do you people out there, do you understand that most of these people are paying taxes? They are believing that if they do the right thing and work hard for the past
Is that in Spain, they
yes,
have all of these. I don't know if everybody can hear me very well. I feel like my mic's not up there. They have all of these
number two.
up here.
No,
Here.
right there. Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's better. So they have all of these people in Spain who are there, but they don't have legal status. And so instead of spending all their money and resources and deporting them, they decided, let's instead put that money towards a pathway to citizenship
Right.
because they've been there for years and they're paying taxes.
Yes,
And why doesn't this country do that? Well, I know the
because
answer.
because of the evil,
Well, it's also because we're a very racist country.
very racist country, and then it goes on. He says, "Stop murdering, and don't get this in your face that you didn't see it with your own eyes." I talked about a few weeks ago about, with David's song "Lying Eyes."
Mm-hmm.
We have been gaslit to the max. We saw what they did to Renee Nicole Good. We saw what they did to Alex Preddy. And the thing that is being left out that I will not say in his name, Keith Porter.
Yeah.
Keith Porter. That's why this is Black History Month.
Right.
Okay. You heard everything going on about Renee Good, and then, and then all of a sudden they shot her. Oh, a white woman, that's a lesbian. Oh, well, we got to just bring them out and talk about this. Then they shoot an incredible human being, Alex Preddy, a nurse at the Veterans Center, ICU nurse, and shoots him dead.
Mm-hmm.
But what about
10 times?
10 times.
Because once wasn't enough.
And did you know, I saw a news clip, somebody on CNN, Abby Phillips showed, this lady was saying, I think, what Nikki Noem, whatever her name is, Nikki Noem said, she was not telling the truth. But this was officers and Alex Preddy, a scrum, like I was telling you. This wasn't a game. And then she said it was a bad shoot. Give me make a preacher cuss. I'm telling you, a bad shoot 10 times. Mm-hmm. 10 times. Mm-hmm. He was not brandishing a weapon, but those two people, when they start killing white folk, everybody's paying attention. And I'm going to get into that in a second here. And it reminds me when I was marching back in the day in the 60s, and we were doing marching and singing a "We Shall Overcome." And until white folks saw what was happening to black folks, they joined them on that Edmund Pettus Bridge. Only then did white people wake up and don't. I'm not saying that all white people are racist or something. That's not true. But I think black people and white people need to stick together because this country is based on what is happening with white folks and black folks. And you have a guy in the White House, the convicted felon in chief, is trying to bring home, along with Stephen Miller and his Project 2025, as he said in the Republican National Convention, this country is for white people only. Guess what, Stephen Miller? You Jewish, and your people got treated the same way, but yet you want to deny your identity. He has an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, Jennifer, evil, evil.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah is saying, if you stop doing all these evil things, and God is telling, then I will let you stay in this land that I gave to your ancestors to keep. In other words, your days are numbered, brothers and sisters out there doing all this evil. So that's how our scripture starts off our episode today. And I just want everyone to understand that you have to have something. We're talking about race and cultures. And, I just want to remind us again what race and cultures mean. And this is about culture. So these, I won't go through them in detail, but we need to talk about culture and race. Proficiency, cultural proficiency, knowing how to learn and teach about different groups and ways to acknowledge and honor all people and the groups they represent. That's cultural proficiency. We need to come together. Jennifer, what's ethnicity say?
Groups in which members have share a cultural heritage from one generation to another. One's geographical origin, group image, and a sense of identity derived from contemporary culture patterns and a sense of history. Many people are multiple ethnicities.
And that is so important. Your ethnic group, then we get down to race. Race is a classification system. Now, this is important, based on physical characteristics and generalized conceptions of skin color. A political and social construct that is most often important in societies with a history oppressing specific groups, the United States of America.
Yeah.
They look at those physical characteristics and they make generalizations based on your skin color. So some people look at me, Jennifer, they look at me and they call me black. I have on a shirt and a shirt underneath it that's black. Now, what's the difference?
Well, you're not black.
I'm not black, but I'm called black. How messed up is that? Why? I might need to go get some help. My identity is I'm called black, but I don't even look black. You call white and you don't even look white.
That's right.
Right behind you is a screen that's kind of white, and right on this screen here is white. So we get down to racial identity. That's one sense of group, identity, affiliation, and association with otherwise possess the same racial heritage. So if I want to identify as being white, I can tell people that I'm white. And I can start.
They won't believe you.
I can start acting white. So how do you have to talk white, talk black? Y'all ever hear about that? Talking white. We do this joke around here. Well, hello, golly gee whiz. How are you doing today?
And I try to tell white people.
Yeah, you tell me that. Yeah.
Maybe
So-
they used to, but not.
Some of them still do. Yeah. So we have an issue of trying to define race and culture. Race and culture. So I'm also reminded of something else there. So I want to go to this other slide here. So this is actually taken from PowerPoint that I use when I do seminars. So I decided to not try to reinvent the wheel and not try to go back. So I'm going to be skipping through this PowerPoint back from slide to slide. So bear with me and don't think that this is a crazy day.
Oh, it is
Okay,
crazy.
so here's an example of culture, how you continually construct from history, circumstances, family, and community. And you see a conglomeration of many different people. So there was a president they call the Great Emancipator. And the Great Emancipator, who was that, Jennifer? This president.
The great immense. Oh, you're talking about Lincoln?
I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
The Great Emancipator. They say Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln cared about the slaves. Well, folks, that may be something that we've been told, but let me kind of share with you something about Lincoln. This was taken in my home state. And if you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe and share. And we'll show you our website where you can go to and look at more things about us. There's a Scantron code that I'll put up in the corner. I do it right now. My whole face will be blocked off. course, that might not be a bad idea to block my face off. But anyway, I want to share with you how Lincoln really felt. This is in 1858 in Charleston, Illinois. Okay. Jenny, you want to start reading that?
All right. So this is Mr. Lincoln's speech.
In Charleston, Illinois, in 1858. This was published in the Present Tribune back in Chicago. Chicago reported in Chicago Times.
So Mr. Lincoln took the stand at 3:15 and was greeted with vociferous, and protracted applause, after which he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it will be very difficult for an audience so large as this to hear distinctly what a speaker says, and consequently, it is important that as profound silence be preserved as possible. While I was at the hotel today, an elderly gentleman called upon me to know whether I was really in favor of producing a perfect equality between the Negroes and white people." Then there's great laughter. While I had not proposed to myself on this occasion to say much on that subject, yet as the question was asked me, I thought I would occupy perhaps 5 minutes in saying something in regard to it.
Okay, and I'll take it. I just want to clarify. Lincoln used the term Negro.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about African American, that is this classification that's there. Then before that, there was intermixed the word colored. So colored, Negro, then black. When the song came out, and I mentioned this before, James Brown, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." Then we had the Black Power movement that was coming in, and it got a negative thing when they started talking about the Black Panther. The Black Panthers never shot anybody. The Black Panthers did a lot for education, started after school programs, started programs for feeding people. They did a lot of things, but the Black Panther Party gets all this terrible press. But the Negro, that's so important. But saying something in regard to it, this is what Lincoln said. "I would say then that I am not, I repeat that I am not, nor ever been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races." Now, he used the word black then, and people applauded that. Then he says that "I am not, nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes." See, he can't even get it straight. Mm-hmm. "Nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people." Oh my God, he would be cussing right now. "And I will say, in addition to this, there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality." What did you say after that, Jennifer?
"And inasmuch as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior. And I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having a superior position assigned to the white race."
Whoa, get out. That's Lincoln. Go ahead.
"I say upon this occasion, I do not perceive that because the white man is to have the superior position, the Negro should be denied everything."
Everything. We give him a crumb or two. This is Abraham Lincoln that people call the great emancipator. Now, I will add in here that Roy Turner, he wrote the fiery thing of Lincoln. I got it in here.
So tell me, I'm sorry, but
Go ahead.
Tell me, Lincoln is known as the great emancipator, but he's obviously feels that blacks and whites should be separated and that the whites should be superior. So tell me, why is it that he is considered the great emancipator?
Well, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation,
Yes.
kind of under coercion. He wanted to preserve the Union. You know, you have the Confederate States and the Union States. And on top of it, those people that remember, the slaves were property. They got compensated when some of those slaves left. And of course, we have Juneteenth. The people in Texas Didn't know about this till 3 years later.
Right.
So, but then he says more here.
Oh.
Then he says, I do understand that because I do not want a Negro woman or a slave, I must necessarily want her for a wife. People laugh. My understanding is that I can just let her alone. I am now in my 50th year, 50 years old, and I certainly never have had a black woman or either a slave or a wife. So it seems to me quite possible for us to get along without making either slaves or wives of Negroes. I would add to this that he just wants people to stay separate, don't be hooking it up, that I have never seen, to my knowledge, a man, woman, or child who was in favor of producing a perfect equality, social and political, between Negroes and white men. Oh, man. And he goes on and on. I just want to go through that part, what he says. So Lincoln, put it this way, was not all up to what people think he was. So I just want us to kind of look at that from a historical standpoint and understand what Lincoln was truly all about. So here we have Lincoln here. So what about this slavery? What about all this slavery stuff, Jennifer? What about what is going on? Now, there's a history of slavery that we must try to understand. And I just wanted to kind of peep at a little bit. You see, when we look at slavery, this is a chronological overview that outlines history of slavery from its origins in ancient civilizations to the persisting forms of modern day slavery. So you can see in the ancient times, from 10,000 BC, 500 CE, that we had slaves in Mesopotamia, Babylon, Egypt, Greece, Rome, and then in the first century of Rome. Okay, estimated that 30% of the Roman population was enslaved. Then you look at Greece, Athens, developed into a slave society where 30%, 50% of the population consisted of enslaved people. So those people kind of look like each other that they had. Now, the Code of Hammurabi is really important here. Provides the first written laws on slavery, defining them as property. That was in Babylon. And I was at a class at FGCU, I was the guest at, and we were talking about the Code of Hammurabi and how that is passed down to this day, that code listing people. Then we look in the medieval era where we talk about slavery in Iceland. Oh my goodness. Iceland outlawed slavery. Now think about that. Iceland is in the news right now, right? Isn't it?
Mostly Greenland.
Oh, is Greenland? It's not Iceland? Oh, they get them mixed up. No, oh, I'm just kind of being facetious. Yeah, I can't make this up. So then we have the Mediterranean areas, and then we have West Africa. That's the Portuguese traders. They bring the first cargo of slaves directly from West Africa by sea, initiating, this is it, the Atlantic slave trade. So the Atlantic slave trade started in 1444. We talked about the Portuguese. Then I want us to be real clear. The Caribbean, the Spanish Portuguese bring enslaved Africans to the Americas. You see, we think about 1619, but the Spanish and Portuguese brought them to America, replacing indigenous population, the people that were already here. Christopher Columbus did not set one foot in America.
You mean the true Americans?
The true American. They were already here. Already here. Then we look into North America, where the Spanish explorers bring the first African slaves to the region that becomes the U.S. The Spaniards. The Spaniards. So I was talking to my cousin, and we were talking about Cortez and Spanish explorer. A lot to do with slavery in this country. So we kind of get it mixed up. But this is, I talked about the Atlantic slave trade here. So the transatlantic slave trade, we dated from 1600. Well, remember, it started before that.
Mhm.
So in 1619 in Jamestown, 29 Africans arrived on this Dutch ship, making the start of slavery in English occupied North America, 1619. You've heard of the 1619 project. That's where it comes from. Then it goes all down. Then you can see these other states. Massachusetts becomes the first English colony to legalize slavery. Then in Virginia, I just talked to someone in Virginia. They legalized chattel slavery, where the statue of the old, where the child follows that of the mother. That chattel slavery. So the mother is a slave, and this child is a slave. Okay. So the mother, her children become slaves too. Then in the 1700s in Caribbean America, the height of the slave trade, nearly 6.5 million enslaved persons are transported to America. Then we have in Pennsylvania, then we Philadelphia, of course, Pennsylvania, city of brotherly love. Then we have Haiti, and this is interesting. The insurrection. I have a clip here that I was going to show about a female who was very instrumental in that Haitian revolution that took place in getting back their freedom. So in 1793, Eli Whitney patents the cotton gin, causing the surge in demand for enslaved labor in the South. There was a time in America when it was indentured servants and slaves worked side by side, were neighbors. And then I think 1867, John Bunch, who was a slave, and he was working with the other indentured slave. Now, indentured servant, they got their freedom after 7 years. So John Bunch and these three Europeans, they ran away. They captured all of them. They added a couple more years to their indentured servitude, but they made John Bunch his serfdom that became slavery for a lifetime. That was the first documented concept. So we're going to have this cotton, we're going to have all these things, but guess what? We can make these people slaves forever. But then some things did happen in the British Empire. Slavery abolition enacted passed, bringing 800 to 800,000 slaves in the Caribbean. Now, that came about through William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce was a protege of John Newton. Now, John Newton, who wrote the great song Amazing Grace, Jennifer, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me, he was a slave trader. And they praised that song all the time in every church or whatever. But you're singing about a slave trader. He said those same words that Peter said when he was on the water. And when Peter started to sink, what did he say to Jesus?
Save me.
Lord, save me.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, save me. John Newton said the thing. He said, Lord, save us.
Mm-hmm.
And a wretch like me. He turned over he had a conversion experience like Paul did on the Damascus Road. He started denouncing slavery, and he became a preacher. Wilberforce met him and kind of studied with him. He was in England, and he was against slavery. That's why it's so important in the Caribbean, where they made sugar cane. So Wilberforce went, and he started seeking freeing slaves from the British Empire out of the Caribbean. Then you have Abraham Lincoln. He wrote the Emancipation Proclamation. slaves in the Confederate States. But there were other slaves outside of the Confederate States that weren't free. That's what you think about. So then if we look at the age of abolition, we go on down to the 13th and amendment was ratified, formally abolishing slavery. Then we have slavery still in Brazil becomes the last country to try to abolish slavery. But you know what? I always learned that some things aren't worth the paper it's written on. That you can have all these amendments and have all these different things of signing stuff, and people still don't feel free. And that's what we're dealing with, Jennifer.
Mhm.
People are still in the mindset of slavery. It's still in the mindset of slavery. So what am I thinking about here is that Donald, the victim felon in chief,
The predator and she.
predator in chief. So what does he do? He tries to get rid of things. So this is what he is. He uses Black History Month to issue this proclamation erasing Black history. You have to be a racist. I just went through important to understand culture and history and ethnicity and race. He uses Black History Month to erase Black history. So how's he doing it? How's he doing it? He's doing it like this. This is what he's doing. Just a quick rundown. Deliberate move to eliminate Black history and reinstate the symbols of races. You want to read that, Jen?
Since taking office in the early 2025, President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have actively worked to reverse the work of the Naming Commission, which had removed Confederate tributes from military assets. They have utilized a legal maneuver, keeping original base names, but assigning them to different historical figures with the same last names to technically comply with the laws prohibiting Confederate namesakes while restoring the original titles.
Yeah, and the tricky part here is this Fort Bragg that was called Fort Liberty, restored in February 2010, now honors World War II Roland Bragg instead of Confederate General Braxton Bragg. Okay, they want to keep the name. And the interesting one here, Fort Benjamin, formerly Fort Moore, restored in March 2025 and honors Corporal Fred Benning instead of Confederate General Henry Benning. They kept the name to keep the consciousness of the slave. This is one that we live in Lee County.
Yep.
This is the one that really a lot of people don't understand. When Fort Robert E. Lee existed, most people felt that it was because of Robert E. Lee. Okay, but this is the deal. As of mid-2025, the Virginia military installation, formerly known as Fort Lee, it's called Fort Lee, not Robert E. Lee. Some people always add that in there. That's why I kept it. And briefly, Fort Bragg Adams is named Fort Lee to honor Private Fitz Lee, a Black Medal of Honor recipient from the Spanish-American War. This followed the 2025 directive to revert the name, but changes the namesake from Confederate General Robert E. Lee to a Buffalo soldier.
This is disgusting.
Okay, so so the Buffalo soldiers were from the 10th Infantry. They were incredible, a Black unit. Okay, and so this is interesting. So we have Robert E. Lee to a Buffalo soldier. His name was Fitz Lee. Okay, to honor Fitz Lee. Now, but think about this. Originally, they wanted to name this thing Fort Lee. Jennifer, know who they want to name it after? Bruce Lee, the martial artist. That's
Wow.
so incredible that it was really they want to name it after Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I have his Fitz Lee's picture here. Anyway, so I think so. So basically, Trump stuff. Then we have Fort Pickett, formerly Fort Beaufort, restored to honor Vernon Pickett, and Fort Rucker. They want to restore all the monuments, changes, taking things out of Smithsonian Institute, also Black History, under executive order restoring truth and sanity to America. The administration is reviewing and removing exhibits deemed to contain white ideology of diverse narratives. Woke. What? Woke. Yeah, we're gonna be woke.
Yep.
You know, I was thirsty at that point. Okay. And also I talked about how the National Park Service is to eliminate, remove a slavery exhibit in Philadelphia, and dozens of other signs nationwide detail the mistreatment of Native Americans and enslaved people, historical figures.
Mm-hmm.
Now the rest of the story about Lee that I was alluding to. This is Fitz Lee.
Oh.
At Fort Lee, the installation now honors Private Fitz Lee, a Medal of Honor recipient, Buffalo soldier of the 10th Cavalry. He was born in June 1866, a year after my great-grandfather, in Dinwiddie County, Virginia, and joined the Army in 1889. In 1898, as the Army was mobilized for war with Spain, Lee was serving as private. As the unit was boarding its transport ship bound for Cuba, Lee, along with 50 other troopers, were chosen for a special assignment behind enemy lines to reinforce and resupply Cuban fighters seeking liberation from Spanish rule. Remember that Spanish rule thing. So I just go down here and just skip through some of this. These are some of his accomplishments. This is actually kind of things that happened. How he died, his health declined. Other after the call, they rowed ashore in 10 small fry, arms fire. Upon reaching the shore, located survivors brought them safely back. That's what he did. He saved people. So Lee moved to Leavenworth, Kansas after discharge. He was a fellow retired Buffalo soldier. He died at his home in Leavenworth. So anyway, that's Fitz Lee. So that's the story of Fort Lee. So now we have it. So I think that we have a lot to think about here, Jennifer.
Well, I find it really interesting how it's like the administration is really trying to trick you all, everybody.
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting. I mean, we don't know who these people are. Like they're really not well known throughout history. So, you don't usually find them in history books, but I find it interesting how they're keeping the last name. And
yes. But it's the keeping the consciousness of Confederates.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is this is the deal. Why I think he is doing what he's doing. First of all, I want to just say something. You notice I haven't talked about the Epstein files. I haven't put up any pictures or anything or shown any videos. I've read the stuff. It is disgusting. Mm-hmm. Disgusting. Anybody else with those allegations against this person, what else? Can you say what he done from a woman's perspective?
It's indescribable.
Like,
I think it's disgusting.
Can you be specific?
He's raped. He's assaulted.
Little kids.
He might have possibly even killed
Yes.
some women.
There's a lot of, speaking of killing, what about Epstein? He did.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to tell me he didn't get murdered.
Yeah,
Talk to his brother.
Some of the grotesque things that are in there, and whoever did it, I know he did it, but there's other people that have done it. They all need to go down.
No matter who you are,
yes. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Democrat.
Or
I don't
independent.
care if they're independent. Heck, I don't even care if they're nothing. They need to go down. They need to go down.
So his racism goes way back, folks, and his sexism. This is a man that on an elevator, on an escalator, even mentioned about, in 10 years I'll be dead here. Talking about his daughter, and he talked about he was on the Wendy Phillips show, sitting next to Ivanka, and he said, "What do you have in common?" And he said, she said, golf and restaurants, and he said, sex. But I shouldn't say that. I mean, how can you put that in your head about your own kid? And she just kind of looked when the Williams in shop, and then he's on the TV on the sports thing with Buck there saying you just go and grab them by their stuff, their genitals, because you can do it. He can just look at all the, because he owns the pageant, he can do whatever he wants to the girls. He's telling on himself all the time, but he always wants to go and throw it back to black things. Right now, he's throwing out every distraction that will meet the time. So this is his racism goes back to this time frame when a white woman was allegedly raped, as she said, by these 5 black guys called the Central Park Five. They sued Trump over his debate in Philadelphia of making slanderous remarks about them. And, those guys, Raymond Santana, Yusef Salam, who's now...
How many years did they serve?
19 years.
Yeah, it was like close to 20 years or something like that.
Yusef Salam, who's now a New York City Council member, Anton Brown, formerly McCrae, and now also Corey Wise and Kevin Richardson. They spent time in prison for something they did not do.
And it was proven that they didn't do it.
He took out $1,500 page ad to do it, and DNA exonerated them. Now they're called exonerated 5. Mm-hmm. So he wants to give that same kind of optic. So what is it getting to, Jennifer? You want to ask me? What are you talking about?
What you talking about?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. So we have the whole situation in Minneapolis, people being shot and people being murdered, people being killed. We have Keith Porter still isn't getting his just due, an off-duty ICE agent. No, back in the hood, no, everybody go out, shoot their gun in the air. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Don't they do on the farm too? People do that? How would you live at?
No.
They didn't. They don't love America. Anyway.
We were more sophisticated, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, they took dynamite. So the optic here that he's trying to present, just like he's trying to present with the Central Park exonerated 5, is this. He said, well, I can't let people just get away with it. So across the nation, we have protests, mostly white people, because all of a sudden in Minneapolis, it was shown they're coming for people who look like you.
Yeah.
Not safe.
Yeah.
Especially people that are said protesting against his racist regime. He said, we're going to go after the worst of the worst, but guess what? He's making widowers, just like it said, from Jeremiah, making orphans out of people. But all of a sudden, you see all the white folks lined up. So he's thinking in his mind, This supposed to be about the black and brown people. The Haitians, they're eating the cats and the dogs. We got to go after them. Not these white people being upset, even though we killed them. And he made a comparative statement, Jennifer, that so what? There was only 2 that they got lost. I'm saving tens of thousands of people from drugs. Give me a break.
And I'm only doing what the American people elected me to do.
So what is he really trying to do? So he said, I'm going to change the optic. I'm going to arrest those black people. They're criminals. Those journalists, we're going to take them. And I recognize Don Lemon. I can't think of another group name. Freedom of what? What? Freedom of speech? 3 more arrests made with Don Lemon. He's in good company. They went into a church. Everybody should be welcome in a church. Don Lemon and those guys there were not protesters.
No, they were there as journalists.
They were journalists. Some John Lemon been doing for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to change the optic. You see, these black people are disruptive and criminal in everything. But you know, Jennifer, this is what really is the straw that broke the camel's back. Is this here. And I'll show you in a minute, but it just really, really sad that this is happening, but it is that these things I'll find it. Just give me a break a minute. So we have these journalists that are hung out to dry. But this here is what really got me this here. This racist person showed everybody, black people, even though President Obama is biracial, but he falls under the 1-drop rule, folks. Mm-hmm. He got his father was from Kenya. His mother was from the land of Toto, Auntie Mame in Kansas. Her grandfather fought with George Patton, a hero. But he has them dressed up in like monkeys or apes. How despicable.
No,
that's a dehumanization.
If you don't now believe that Trump is a racist, we've got a problem.
A big problem.
We've got a really big problem.
Just look at that. That is disgusting. So
now here's my take on this, and I saw this today. A classmate of mine put this on Facebook, and I totally agree that those who voted for Trump, maybe not all of them are racist, but they sure in the heck voted for a racist.
Well, they act like, don't get it twisted. I think that, what do they say? What's in the heart proceeded out of the mouth. Mm-hmm. What's in the heart proceeded out of your actions and what you follow. Mm-hmm. If they did not accept those, you hear about people.
Maybe they didn't realize he was a racist when they first voted for them. But
they're gonna have to.
They sure the heck know now.
They're gonna have to. What they haven't changed their mind. They're talking about their vote for him again. Mm-hmm. They said, he has policies. The policies that he had in his first administration were the policies that were handed down to him by President Barack Obama. We had a booming economy and everything, and he lost it all. He lost it all, and so
that's because everything he touches gets destroyed, and everybody who's around him, their reputation gets destroyed. And if you're in his path, mm-hmm. he's out to destroy you.
Yeah.
If you get in his way, he's going to destroy you.
So let's look and see what some reactions were to this. Okay, I'm just going to cut down. So this was written by Stephen Bennett. He said the evidence documenting Donald Trump's years, help me, that word, Donald Trump's worth of racism is overwhelming. Though in recent months, the president appears to have gone out of his way to add to his disgusting record. In the fall, for example, the Republican used the term DEI as a slur for minorities, as blaming their involvement with the construction of Barack Obama's presidential library. Soon after, the president, as part of an ugly anti-immigration pitch, publicly referred to Somali Americans as garbage and revived his asshole, I'll just say shithole countries rhetoric. The list has, alas, continued to grow longer and longer. And so goes on here. So he went on and talked all this crazy stuff. The fact that the Republican president didn't make they trying to cover up for that picture. That one is actually a video. Even I can't believe this brother, Tim Scott, who was the only Black representative, wrote online that he was praying for the video was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. The South Carolinian Linnea, who's currently chairing the National Republican Senatorial Committee, added, the president should remove it. He did remove it, but I'm gonna go on here.
The White House removed it.
Yeah,
not
at
Trump.
that point, Trump and his team had some limited options. They could have quietly deleted the post, but you want to go ahead and read the rest of it, Jennifer? I can't stand it.
They also could have said it was posted by mistake. They might even try to claim the president wasn't fully aware of the contents
dementia
of the entire video. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt ignored those options and went with the response that made an awful story worse.
Listen to this.
She says, in a statement sent in deadline?
Mm-hmm.
Deadline?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe it should say Dateline. The president's chief spokesperson said, quote, this is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King.
Hold it for a minute. In The Lion King, there are no monkeys and apes. Did you watch the show?
Oh, yeah, there are.
Oh, okay.
There are.
No apes.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public.
Racism matters to the American public. It should. Keep going.
How sadly predictable to hear Leavitt tell it. Trump's routine racism is unimportant, and outrage from both Democrats and Republicans like Scott is, quote, fake, end quote. Complicating matters, a few hours after Leavitt tried to defend the racist video, the White House changed its story, saying in a statement, a White House staffer erroneously made the post. It has been taken down. Evidently, the press secretary's, quote, fake outrage line proved unsubstantiable. In his second inaugural address, Trump said, to the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote.
This is a reflection backwards. Go ahead, though.
We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Like too many of Trump's promises, he wasted little time in trashing this commitment and returning to the kind of gutter racism that helped fuel his political rise in the first place.
Okay, so in other words, was what the writer is saying that after he was elected, he sent out this big thing about how he loves all the people and all that kind of stuff. In actuality, he went back on his word
Yeah.
and did a lot of things.
You don't say you love a certain group of people and then you put that racist crap out there and claim that it didn't come from him. Shit.
What'd you say?
You heard me.
I thought that's what I heard. Why is it why is it like that, Jen? Why is it like that?
Well, he's a liar. We all know it. We
Yeah.
all know it. And the White House is trying to scramble to cover up his racism, but it isn't working. I mean, you have to be a total moron to think that he's not racist.
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of people don't understand his whole situation with the racism, that they just say that's just him doing.
Oh, that's just Trump. He's just, you can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Well, no, when he says he's going to do something, you better believe it.
Yeah, he definitely is messed up. Yeah, I think that he is way off of his gourd. But I just want to share with you a little bit about my story. Want to share about my story. This is, okay, it's not showing up here. So I go way back to the beginning of things that took place in my life, and I just want to bring up some, if I can find them here. Just give me a few minutes. Technical difficulties here. We changed position.
Oh, yeah, because you're usually sitting on this side and I'm on the other.
Yeah. Well, it's not showing up on that side.
We might have to save it for another time.
Yeah, we have to save it from another time. So, but I go way back to a time when things were talked about, people understood certain aspects of life and tried to make the best of things and tried to get people involved. And here is an example of that. When I go back, I think about this situation. Okay, and a lot of people don't understand. We talked about Rosa Parks, and she was in, this is my story, when I was growing up. And Rosa Parks you hear about, but there was another girl here, Claudette Colvin. She defied Montgomery bus segregation herself in 1955. 9 months before Rosa Parks said, I won't go to the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of her?
No.
Yeah, she was a little girl. So I'm sitting on this bus.
So she was 15.
Yeah, she was 15 years old, a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing I'll talk about. It's called the Children's March that took place too. But Parks, she was NAACP secretary, became the iconic face of the 1955-56 boycott. Cole was considered a, quote, passionate but less suitable representative due to her age. Pregnancy and darker skin both were integral to the movement, with Colvin serving as plaintiff in the Bowder versus Gale case that legally ended bus segregation. See, some people don't understand. You see the thing about the darker skin?
Mm-hmm.
She had gotten pregnant and that kind of stuff, a little girl. So that's part of my my story, was understanding Rosa Parks. But even more significantly than that was this here, putting together these three gentlemen.
Mhm.
And Jennifer, can you read that writing
Oh, it's too small.
of Dr. King? And okay, let me try it. Maybe I'll put my cheaters on. You want to put cheaters on?
No, it doesn't make it.
I think it's important to read these words here.
Are you talking about right here? I have a dream.
Yeah, it says, and then that's Dr. King. This is John Kennedy, and that's
Mhm.
Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah, it's too small.
So Dr. King said, I have a dream that one day
Nation will rise
nation
up.
rise up and live out
The true
true meaning
of
of
life.
life,
Creed.
of his creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That's American lie. Then John Kennedy says,
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
and then Bobby Kennedy's brother says,
Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say why not.
so you see, on the hills of Black History Month, we had three people. Two are not Black. Okay. And what happened to our camera?
It just wants to focus on you.
So what we'll do is go back here. So we have a little technical difficulty here. Uh-oh, I'm way out of sync here. Here we go.
There you go.
Bring us back together.
Whoa, too far. We have a camera that has a mind of its own tonight.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know what happened here. Jennifer, you still here? I don't know why this is happening. So we have Bobby Kennedy, Dr. King, and we have Robert Kennedy Sr. doing the right thing, unlike his son. So the next thing that I'd like us to share is another very significant situation that took place. And that is something that I think is very important for us to understand. And that is what happened to another important person during this time frame. You know, Medgar Evers was another person that she's going to fix this for us, I hope, was another very significant person that that was caught into the situation that took place back in that era.
Okay, now we got an opposite problem.
Oh my, what happened?
I told you the camera's got a mind of
Our
its own
camera,
today.
this is real technical difficulties here.
There we go. We'll sleep up.
I just want to make a comment about Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers was killed by Baron DeLay Beckwith outside of his home. He was responsible for registering people to get for voting and Then we had Berner and Cheney that were killed. Goes on and on, but I just want to emphasize today that we are dealing with a situation where we have a racist president doing all kinds of things to dehumanize people and taking advantage of a country that is trying to find its way. And I just want to just make sure that we as a people are understanding that. I'm going to cut our episode short because of the technical difficulties. But there's more. I'll continue the rest of this next
We've had a
time.
lot of content today.
Next time we get together. But I want to say I appreciate you. We'll be thinking about you. And remember, this is Black History Month. Try to ignore a lot of the things out there if you can. Stay strong and just keep your eyes on the prize with each other, because all of you are the prize for one another. Jennifer, you want to say something?
Yeah. Be careful that you don't watch too much, otherwise it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah,
there's a lot out there today.
A lot out there, and it's real sad that we have reached this point in our life here together in this country that things are like they are. So till next time, we just want to say thank you for being here today. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We will return. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. Peace.